The Bite Me podcast is coming right up, and it is brought to you every week right here on YouTube by Freedom Boats. It is the best shallow running boat on the water, and there is a model perfect for you. The Chiquita 14, the Eagle 16, the Patriot 18, the Commander 21, the beautiful Warrior like I have 23, or the big boy that runs so shallow, the General 26. Chet Moore and Pooty can customize it however you'd like, and there's a dealer near you, whether it's the Boatyard in Kemah or dealerships in San Antonio, Beaumont, Corpus Christi, Port O'Connor, Houston, and Aransas Pass. Freedom Boats or freedomboatsusa.com. All right, here we go. Welcome into the Bite Me podcast. And how was y'all's day going? I can see from Caleb's hand gestures, his has been so-so. We're all messed up. It's going to be a lively show. Going to be a very, very lively show. I can tell you that from just the pre-show meeting that lasted about 45 seconds. I got allergies like I've never had before. Captain Dean's got oil everywhere on his boat. Captain Caleb is sleep deprived and probably on some list somewhere because he bailed on on jury duty. And Captain Scott is the only one doing anything in the least bit productive. Very, very productive, by the way, and honorable. And we'll get to that in just a second. But this is the Bite Me podcast. Going to be a good show. I can tell you that already. But
in spite of all those setbacks,
yeah,
we still manage.
We're here, baby. We are here, baby. We don't miss
for the people.
Dang thing. You're darn right. We're here for the people.
We're here for the fish.
Yeah, we are here for the fish. So are they. Captain Dean Thomas, that was his voice. Captain Caleb McCumber, you'll hear his voice in just a moment. And yeah, if I sound a little different, I went on a beautiful vacation in the hill country, not over where the tragedy was, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And this is what's weird. I was only 60 miles away, 65, I believe, in outside of Dripping Springs, and we got a little rain and we got a little bit of water, coming down the hills, but nothing. You would have never guessed that 65 miles away was devastation. And like I said, we'll get to that in a minute. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget to, you can get those anywhere you can get a podcast, you can subscribe. And of course you can also join the Facebook group page. And we're going to get to a lot of things here, but I'm not exactly sure how long we're going to have Captain Scott with us, but he just joined us. So let's not bury the lead here at all. Scott looks like he's been working up a lather. He's been doing God's work. I will let him tell you what he's doing. And then we actually have a topic that's related to that. But Scott, catch us up where you are, what you're doing.
Well, I'm just downstream from Center Point, Texas. Actually, we're still in the city limits, I think. It's hard to tell when you're down in here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a crew with guys with chainsaws that it was assigned to me, and a group of volunteer firemen that came down from Central Texas, and they've all got chainsaws, and they are cutting, and I've got my skid steer with a grapple on it, and we're just pulling and uncovering every pile, every mound. I sent you that tree earlier. Debris 40, 50 feet up into the tree. It's insane how high this water was down here. And I got my guys over here right now. They're working on a smell. And so we've got a big brush pile back that way that they're working on the other end of it. And then I've got another one just right here. And we can't tell where it's coming from. The wind's swirling down here in this river bottom. So, I mean, we're just going to keep flipping trees and flipping branches and stay after it. And hopefully, bring some closure to somebody.
Yeah. But, so, as you know, if you could probably put two and two together, Scott is down in the hill country outside of Comfort, where the flooding was devastating and all that. We do not want to keep you because you got a lot of much more important things going on. But you're basically, you latched on with a volunteer fire department. They contact you, however it played out, and you're searching for bodies. I mean, we can just be, honest about it.
Yep, that's it. And that's the tree we just dismantled. You can see how high up the branches were. It was solid thick, about 10 to 15 feet out from that tree of debris. So we've been taking it apart slowly, and you don't want to rush through this. You can't. If you rush through it, you mess up.
Yeah.
But you pick a little bit at a time, and then cut some more, and then pick a little bit at a time, and cut some more, and it's it's tedious, but I haven't found a body yet myself. One was just found just upriver from us, just now about an hour ago, down in the water. They got a dive team out there. The response is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. You're getting a lot of support from the community and other communities as well. Heck, right here on the live stream, on the podcast here, we're getting people, what do you need? Is there anything you need from us? Do you need more saws? Et cetera, et cetera. But I know you can probably give us a better idea of what it is you might need.
Man, as far as supplies, I bet they got 2 truckloads of water. I mean, everybody brought water. That's awesome. It's more water than we can drink. But we got people out here cooking food, restaurants from all over Texas. It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. And with your background, you've dealt with these types of events before, maybe not as big and as far reaching, but that's probably why they got a hold of you, huh?
Well, that's why I volunteered. I couldn't sit at the house. I was pacing. Yeah, I was walking around the shop, and Camille finally came out there and said, "Just pack your stuff."
Yeah.
So had to do it. Got a good friend from way back, like 6th grade. His niece was missing. They just now identified her a couple hours ago. So,
yeah. Well, listen, man. I want to let you go unless you have anything else to add. Unless Dean or Caleb want to jump in here real quick before we let Scott go.
Dude, just much love and thanks for what you're doing, man. Appreciate you being there.
Yep.
And I know those people that are struggling appreciate it as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you.
One of our good listeners is standing right over here.
Howdy.
Who's that?
Tell them your name, man.
Connor Kothman.
All right, Connor. Thank you for doing that, my man.
Anytime.
Connor got in touch with me and asked me if he could come out, and I said, "Hell yeah, come on." Bring
good deal.
Bring a chainsaw and just come join my group. And I kind of yesterday I had a big group. Let's say some shouldn't have been out here, not in this. And so I kind of picked through and I found my guys, and I got me a crew. And these dudes, they don't stop, and they're cutting, digging, cutting, going crazy down there. And at one point I had, when I had them all going at once, I had probably 15, 20 chainsaws going at the same time. And hell, with the skid steer, I couldn't keep up with them. I mean, I was grabbing brush and pulling brush, and they're standing in the middle of big piles of brush, looking around for me to come get it. So they could keep going. So anyway, I did just find this. Just found that.
You found a fishing pole.
Yeah, most of it. It's the bottom half of a 2-piecer. It's a Zebco 33 authentic spin cast rod.
How about that?
So
well,
it's my new walking stick.
You're gonna need it in that hill country. Go back and do what you do. Appreciate you hopping on, man.
Yeah, I just figured I'd holler at y'all for a minute. I gotta go move some brush for my boys.
All right, take care.
Be safe.
See y'all later.
All right. So obviously, boys, we know what happened. Just absolutely devastating. Like I said, I was 65 miles away and you would have never known that it was anything but a shower and a little rain, a little water. But the interesting thing to me is not just the aftermath. We know what people do. That one, I actually wrote down his name so I could talk about him because, we talk about the Coast Guard and all the things they do. Scott Rurkan, I hope I got that right, is a Coast Guard out of Corpus Christi, Dean. The Corpus Christi Coast Guard immediately went down there. Scott Ruskin saved 165 people. And this was not just like coordinating. He was going down on, out of the helicopter on the basket and grabbing people and putting people up and pets. And some of them went by themselves in the basket. Some of them he had to help with. And it kind of got me thinking about like our listeners. We know everybody's going to try to do what they can to help out. But the United States Coast Guard, boy, they acted quickly. They came up from Corpus Christi. I read a story where he said it's not normally their jurisdiction, their area, but they got there within an hour, I want to say, hour and a half. and
Yeah.
he pulled 165 people out of that debris and the rushing waters.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
I saw him on the news, man. I saw that story.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, those dudes are amazing. And the thing about, you know, just a total humble dude, you know, didn't want recognition, wasn't in it for that.
Mhm.
And kind of, I mean, there was so much more to the story. I mean, when they were taking people out, he abandoned his seat on the helicopter to make room for other people
Mhm.
to get out of there. And but you know, that's just one story that we heard. And then we heard Scott's story. And there's so many people out there, heroes out there every day. I mean, and it's hard to watch the stories that are coming out of there. And just much love and prayers for the families, the people that were affected. And it's rough, man. It's tough. So you be thankful for every day that you get. That's a good one.
You know, the other thing, Caleb, is with the Coast Guard, they're in on every environment from Alaska and ice and, you know, some of those areas to lakes. And obviously I see the Coast Guard planes and the helicopters a lot of times doing drills or whatever they're doing down south. And then they end up on a river, a rushing river. You got to be prepared for everything. And that's kind of where I was going with it. Like, we don't necessarily give them enough due for being able to do everything, you know, everything in every scenario.
Yeah, you were talking about that, and then I read over here. Jay says that was his first time out of a classroom, and the whole time you're training for that as a rescue swimmer on the Coast Guard, I don't know that you really feel like you're going to be spending much time on the Guadalupe River,
Right.
But I mean, like Dean said, there's stories out the wazoo. There was I think one of the camp directors saved 5 or 6 kids, then ended up losing his life over the deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's heroes on every aisle at HEB that you don't have any idea who they are or who they're going to be one day, and
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome stuff.
And HEB itself, I mean, within hours, sent just truck after truck after truck of supplies and such. So
Texas strong.
yeah, I wanted to at least address that. Obviously, it's big news around the world, much less here in our own backyard. And then, of course, you know, some of the fact that it's kids, you know, largely or a lot of them, it's just heartbreaking. Did you see Pat Green's family?
I did not.
Pat Green's brother and his wife and their kids, 2 of their kids, perished. So it's everybody. It's everybody's affected around here.
I saw. I think Kyle Tucker is covering the funeral expenses of everyone that ends up getting a funeral. I read something about that online yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It sucks. I know people that were up there. I have friends that knew people that were up there. I had friends that were up there and got out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sucks. I think the only thing that sucks worse is the people that are trying to make this political and racial and that kind of stuff. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
I wanted to go make some house calls earlier today.
We can turn to a little bit of a lighter, more relevant for what we do here on a regular basis. But I did want to shout out the Coast Guard. I've seen some. I personally, thankfully, have never had any experiences or really, you know, witnessed any some of the things up close and personal that they do. But just the other day, well, it's been a couple of weeks now. There was a girl who fell off of a cruise ship. Her father jumped in after her, and who was there right away? The Coast Guard and the boat from that thing. So it's like every environment, every scenario that you can imagine that they're in. Have you guys ever had any up close, you know, interactions with the Coast Guard like that?
Just I've been inspected. I've been pulled over by them and everything passed. So that was me. But it's good to know they're there. If you ever do need them, everybody hopes you never need them. But I mean, they are real life badasses.
They really are. So Caleb, how was jury duty today? There was a chance that you weren't going to make it. So I'm guessing the case was real quick and easy.
No. I'm about to drop the biggest tip ever dropped on Bite Me. And
Oh, really? That's saying something.
It has nothing to do with fishing. Not a thing. And I did it on accident. So I was supposed to be there this morning at 8:30. Traffic was bad because there's construction all around the courthouse over here, and it was tough to get there. And I got there somewhat on time. However, the parking
somewhat.
I didn't realize they call in like 50,000 people for this gathering, and so there was like no traffic parking spots. I had to park like, I don't know, quarter mile, half mile away and walk over. But here's the tip. And I was told not to tell anybody, but I'm just going to tell Bite Me listeners. Here's the tip. Don't make this a Facebook piece, John. You'll get me in trouble.
Now you're just asking for it.
So essentially, I showed up to where I was pretty close to the end of the line, and then I screwed around a little while longer and ended up being like way back at the end of the line. And I get up there and go through the security and everything. And a friend of mine works at the courthouse, and I didn't know that was her job, but she was part of the people that were ushering the jury, the potential jurors in. And she says, "Captain Caleb." I said, "Hey," she said, "What are you here for?" I said, "Not what you think. I'm on the jury." I'm on the jury. And she said, "Well, good news, you're going to get dismissed." I said, "Well, hell yes." And I went and got in the line, and I went up there and I went to this little window, and they said, "Here's $20. Thank you. You can go home now." It's the most government story I've ever told. And I go back out there, and I'm talking to my lady friend, and she said, "The room's already full. We can't take any more people." I said,
"Oh, wow."
I said, "So is the secret to make sure you're like the last one in, so everything's full by the time you get here?" She says, "Don't tell everybody, but that's the secret." So, yeah, I'm not saying like show up when like late. I'm just saying be at the back of the line where arguably you were there on time and just waiting in line, and you probably don't have to go to jury duty.
See, those are
well, you could be in line and then like get out of line and go drink water.
Yeah.
And then it's like no cutsies. So then you got to go to the back of the line until you get thirsty again, until you get close to the front or thirsty again.
Yeah.
See, the only downside of it is I like to have stories. I live my life one story at a time. And man, I had some answers loaded for the questionnaire. I wanted to answer those questions. I didn't even have to answer the questions, but I had.
Well, you got to give us an example now.
No. These are get out of jury duty things. These aren't saying public things.
They're also get canceled things.
I mean, to kind of put a starter on it, I was on Amazon 2 days ago seeing if I could get a MAGA hat here in time for jury duty selection.
I'll do it. What?
What?
I wear this all the time.
Yeah.
That
we can talk about some answers off air. I ain't doing it. We're 500 episodes. Let's keep this going.
And Dean, someone did accurately say in the comments, you basically are the Coast Guard. All the rescues you've had in the last year.
Man, I don't want any more. I'm retiring from.
You need to get a helicopter
rescue.
Dean scrolling down that, rappelling down that rope.
He's also good at the catch and release police act too.
That's right.
Yeah, I did that one too. I don't know, man. I just come up on the scene and I got the phone number to the right people.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I have been coincidentally involved in so many of those lately, but I'm done.
Well, there is another piece of news, and we always, up until we get to the feeding frenzy on September 20th, remind people I've been kind of working the back channels here, and I want to share one other. I can't decide if this should be a packaged raffle item or a live auction, or maybe you guys can help me out. So Brandon Carlisle, we met him at the Babes on the Bay. Scott, he's from myfunporta.com. Got a bunch of restaurants, and I'll get to those in a little bit, like Finn's Grill, Mac Daddy's Family Barbecue, Tortuga's Saltwater Grill, but also is connected with the Gulf Eagle, which is a deep sea fishing trip charter. So he donated a voucher for 2 spots on the Gulf Eagle, which is snapper, grouper, kingfish, mahi, etc. And 2 spots on the Red Dragon pirate cruise, and 2 spots on the Scarlet Lady Dolphin Adventure, the nature cruise, and a $200 gift card. So I don't know if we should package that. I don't know if we should package that all together, or maybe just the deep sea fishing trip and the $200 gift card, and then do the others as silent auction, because a lot of people that will do a dolphin cruise may not want to do deep sea fishing, etc. And that pirate cruise, we've seen that boat a lot down there.
I have people hire me all the time that want to do fishing trips and end up getting a dolphin cruise.
I had one the other day. Hey, look, dolphin.
Pretty common occurrence, really.
Y'all want to see some dolphin? So shout out to Brandon. I'm going to add that to the list. But yeah, a little. I think it's one of those party boats, isn't it? My Gulf. What's it called? My Gulf Eagle or something like that. The Gulf Eagle is what it's called. So we added that. Don't forget to get registered, RSVP, and buy some raffle tickets for the boat that we're going to be raffling off as well. All right, so let's get to some topics here. Some other topics. Go ahead.
I got a topic.
Mm-hmm.
I
like when you bring topics.
I forgot I was going to bring this up.
Yeah,
I had a couple little lovebirds on my boat last week.
Oh, really?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Boyfriend, girlfriend. Been together about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they became a couple because of Bite Me.
Get out.
Check it out, dude. Check it out. Yeah.
A Bite Me love story?
A Bite Me love story.
This is like Hallmark.
And actually somewhat normal people too, believe it or not.
Well, that's even more shocking.
No, they work together, and old girl comes walking in the room, and old boy's listening to Bite Me. And she says, What you listening to there? And he said, Bite Me is a fishing show. And she said, well, I just got back. I think she said Big Shell or something, a fishing destination. I just got back from there. I think I want to listen to it. And that became their thing. They listened to Bite Me together. And then, I hand out some pretty solid marriage tips from time to time. And I guess one thing led to another. And pretty cool little couple too. Good.
Well, just give us their first names.
It was Gabriel and Ryan.
Gabriel and Ryan. How about that?
Yep. I'll let y'all decide.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dude and a girl.
Yeah.
Just
Gabriel could be the male or the female.
I didn't need to park off in his wine since noon to get into the comments.
Well, here's the thing. I want to dig in on this real quick. I am a licensed minister.
Mm-hmm.
I can marry people.
Do you hear that, Ryan?
Ryan, Gabriel. So Ryan's the dude?
No, Ryan's the chick, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I see. They both have names that can go either way.
That's why I said something earlier. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm an ordained minister.
There you go.
I can marry y'all at Feeding Frenzy 2026.
Dean can DJ the first dance. I'm not sure what my role is going to be in there. I could be marriage counselor. I could. No, they need to sit down with me. It's a mandatory 2-hour session before the ceremony to make sure that they're right for each other. And we can get in touch with our deep feelings and talk. They're not worth a damn at attracting redfish to the boat.
Mm-hmm.
But they might attract a crowd at the fundraiser thingy-ma-digger.
They're good looking people.
Ryan is remarkably better looking than Gabriel.
Remarkably.
Yeah. Good looking couple. And I love they're both surgeons, which I thought was super cool. Or they're both doctors. Gabriel's a surgeon. He's, I don't know if I can say it out loud. He's a trauma surgeon. And so the first thing I went was, what have you dug out of people's butts? And the list is crazy.
One in a million chance, Doc. 1 in a million.
From what I gathered, Ryan is like the hospital doctor type. I was too busy quizzing Gabriel to really get too deep into what Ryan does.
Yeah.
But and Gabriel was, he's like oil field in West Texas. One day he said, screw it, I'm going to be a surgeon. I was like, well, that's a story you don't hear every day.
See, that could have been Dean.
Sherman said, y'all just proposed for poor Gabriel. This super cool.
And look, we barely know these people, and we've got
we don't even know
business already. We got them married. We got them already in counseling.
Yeah.
We know about things he dug out of people's butt.
Well, yeah, no, and I may have already done this already because I've got a lot of there's a lot of things I won't say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
no, there's since not. When
we're sitting there talking, and Ryan informs me that she had to force Gabriel to like. It was like they'd go out on a date and Gabriel tried to like stay in the friend zone, and she had to be like, "Hey, stupid, get out of the friend zone." I was like, "Yeah, stupid. What are you thinking?" He said, "Well, I'm just trying to keep it professional." I said, "That's a stupid idea. I'd quit my
Don't
job.
keep it professional.
You should quit your job and date this girl, you dumbass."
That's some advanced counseling right there, man.
I'm telling you, I think I
That's
should do
high
it.
level.
So here's where we are. You could do Feeding Frenzy 2026.
Mhm.
We'll already be paying for the tables.
That's right.
There's already going to be a tables and chairs.
Food?
There's
There's going to be food there already.
food there already.
We'll get a
if-
cake.
And
Alcohol?
if the wedding party is part of the first 200 people, they eat for free.
Talking about.
We'll have a DJ
And
Matt.
And after they get married, we'll send their ass on a dolphin watching trip, which is
Steve
pretty
Steve
close
could be
to
the
trip.
ring bearer. Steve could be the ring bearer.
Oh, dude, Steve and Ryan, man, they peas and carrots. Steve hung out with her all day long. I told her, I said, he just buttering your ass up to get you to do what he wants. He don't really care if you're his friend or not. She didn't believe me.
And I can officiate.
I'm telling you, this is an idea.
Let's talk about the most important thing between you and that potential fish of a lifetime. Lines and leaders. Seaguar, truly the best. They've been doing it at the highest level since 1971. People always ask, what do you throw? I throw Seaguar. The double structure fluorocarbon is virtually invisible in the water and has exceptional strength and castability. And if you love and trust Seaguar Fluoro, you're going to love the braid. Man, bait casters, spinning reels, inshore, offshore, it's the absolute best and the only braid I throw. It's Seaguar, the best quality, the most trusted name in the game. Get to a great retailer near you like Fishing Tackle Unlimited or Anglers Anonymous. Visit Seaguar.com. That's Seaguar. Seaguar, always the best. The only problem is we don't know where Gabriel and Ryan land on this idea.
I tell you what, let's send them on the fishing trip because I'm going to be honest. The day we had fishing sucked. The fish would not eat. So we're going to send them on the fishing trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll just get drunk and go watch dolphins.
Well, they got to win. We got to be fair. We got to be fair about that, dude. I can't believe you didn't send me this. This is perfect. This is a Bite Me love story. It's like a Hallmark movie. You know, she used to own a bookstore in some little town, or she owns a bookstore in some little town. He's the surgeon that used to be an oil field worker, a little gruff around the edges. They were in the friend zone for too long, dude. This is Hallmark.
If you want to know how to hook up with a super cool chick that is also a doctor, listen to Bite Me. That's all it takes.
Yeah,
it's simple.
The only
cool too. I don't want to like. It's just only natural for me to compliment the chick more because it'd be kind of weird if I was like, "Oh, how awesome Gabriel!" Gabriel's a good dude. I like Gabriel.
They could have a destination wedding in Aransas Pass.
Well, see, that's the only hitch. Where'd y'all get married? Aransas Pass. It's all right. It's all right.
Here's what I want to know. Gabriel, text me when this happens because I want to know if you suffered through all of this on speakerphone while at work with people listening.
Gabriel has already been texted 10 times.
No, I haven't.
From the people.
Oh, yeah, from other people. Yeah. No, I didn't warn him at all.
No, he's been texted about 10 times.
He might be up in somebody's anus at the moment.
It's gonna be weird.
What if I told him, dude, I don't know, man, being married is a real pain in the ass. And he's like, means nothing to me, dog. I got that.
Sherman says he's gonna be wearing white shrimper boots down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yes. I can see it now.
Yeah. All right. So that was great. I'm glad you brought that up.
Hey, I got a tip.
You got one too
for today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a boat maintenance tip, but anybody who owns a boat maybe can learn a lesson from my misfortune.
What happened?
So apparently, outboard motors have super high oil pressure. They have higher, like normal, way more than a car. So aftermarket oil filters and such like that are really not recommended for that. Also, having the proper tools to install an outboard oil filter is critical, because if you tighten it with channel locks and it gets a little nick or a kink in the sheet metal, that is the outer casing of the oil filter, it will blow out a hole right there, and it will pump all of the oil out of your motor into the cowling of the engine.
How do you know this?
Witnessed it today.
Where'd you witness it?
Out the back of my boat.
You turned around.
Yes. So for those do-it-yourselfer kind of people out there, when it comes to oil changing time, use a proper oil filter wrench to tighten the oil filter to its manufactured specifications.
I've done that exact thing, and like the bottom of the cowling where all those little like puddles are.
Oh yeah,
crap! It's hard to get oil out of them.
And so today, through all of that, I disassembled all of the cowling, the side panels, and I went at it with Dawn. So I disassembled the whole thing out here in the driveway. I even had an oil ring around the back of my boat from when I pulled in at the last minute as I put the thing on the trailer. And yes, I left crazy slippery ring around the whole back of my boat. And then apparently oil attracts sand and so and mud, and everywhere that the mud and such touch the oil, it just turns into this disaster. A scratchy paste.
Yeah.
It's it has a thing. So for hopefully that saves somebody some
Jeff Gonzo says you got to clean the seagulls.
hopefully that little tip will prevent. And it was spraying out that hole. So I was actually probably about 7 or 8 miles from the boat ramp where it started.
Man.
And when I looked at it, I was like, man, it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna get this thing back. I said, we'll see how far it goes before the alarm goes off. And through all of that running and that oil, I was still only 2 quarts low. So it really didn't, I mean, it didn't spew that much out, and it made it all the way back to the marina. Alarms never went off. And at the end, even after I changed the oil that came out of the filter, it only took 2 quarts to bring it back up to the level. But when you spray a fine mist of 2 quarts of oil over a wide area, it doesn't obviously take that much to make quite a disaster.
And all these fishermen on the bay were like, hey, look, another slick.
Yeah. I probably had a trail of them behind me out there throwing for speckled trout.
And that's why I always take mine to the boatyard. I am not about to do that.
So look,
not about to
exactly. Look, Ben Beyer, I couldn't have said it better myself. $100,000 boat, and you don't have a $10 oil filter wrench. I do now.
Yeah, you do now. Oh Lord.
No, and you don't have to report a spill until it's like 5 gallons.
Okay, so you were just a mist.
And that's legit. I mean,
way to be a Karen, Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Oh yeah.
Chris.
Delete.
Yeah.
Delete, Chris.
God,
all right. Well, you kind of answered part of this question, but let's talk about the week that was, and then we'll get into some other topics here. We started this last week. Where were you? What did you do? And what did you see? What did you notice regarding how the week has been fishing? Caleb, you've been a little bit everywhere, haven't you?
Yeah, I haven't went fishing. I'm getting on an airplane Thursday, and I've got like 4 days straight of fishing in Florida, so I've got a lot going on here.
Are you gonna go see Mark?
I'm going to fish 2 days with Mark on the East Coast.
Mark Nichols, by the way, DOA.
Yeah, Mark Nichols, DOA. And then I think we're going to throw DOA lures probably. And then I'm going to go fish 2 days on the Gulf side with CA Richardson. And
nice.
I hope I catch a big snook on day one. CA sent me some pictures of snook today. I hope I catch a big one on day one because I'm really stressing like the Caleb's came a long ways, so it's going to suck factor. It's a real thing. I can't even drive to Port O'Connor and keep redfish in the jetty. So I'm real worried about snook in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll be on his TV show.
Yeah. No, that's what we're filming stuff. I'm filming 2 days with Mark for Angler U. Then I'm fishing 2 days with CA for his stuff. And I think I get to meet with the Yeti guys, which I'm pretty pumped up about. However, I'm sorry if I'm about to hijack your topic, John.
That's fine.
I'm sorry if I'm about to. One thing I did see this week that, where I've been, what I've been seeing is this asinine information on pumping brackish water into Baffin Bay. Is that a topic today? That should be a topic today.
It should be.
Let's
They're
go.
having meetings. They're having all kinds of crap about it. And when some jackass sitting at a table in some boardroom somewhere is telling us we're going to make this water and we're going to save Baffin Bay, like it's pitchfork and axes and torches time. And I'm like, I've spent a ton of money to be in Florida, so I can't be at their actual meeting. I think it's on the 15th. I can look all that up while we're talking about this. But they're having I think they're having a hearing or a meeting or whatever. There's one in Kingsville. I think there's one around Corpus. Like it's no. Spend the extra money, pump it back in the ground. If you have to, run a pipeline way out in the Gulf or something. But pumping that much water into Alazan Bay daily to save the bay, kiss my ass. That's one of the most consistent bays on the coast. You know, it may not, there may be times whenever it's not super awesome, but it never gets super bad there, you know, outside of a brown tide or something.
Look,
But
I'm glad you brought it up. I had thought
bay?
of it myself. Dean, I know you got some thoughts on this because you've been fighting that fight right there.
Yeah, and I saw some of the comments that came from the so-called scientific side of that it was actually going to improve Baffin Bay, that it was dead, that Baffin Bay was struggling, and this was going to benefit them. I mean, they will try to spin that crap into any way they can. And good luck with the piping offshore. The desal plant that has been in conversation here in Corpus Christi, that the battles, the legal battles that have to be fought they're insurmountable, because the companies, the industry can out-lawyer the conservation groups. It's just the way it is. I've watched that take place with people that wholeheartedly fight this thing, but when it comes down to it, to fight a multi-billion-dollar industry with lawyers is very, very difficult. And yes, everybody agrees the pipeline should be offshore. The discharge should be out there. The intake should be out there. But the legal battles are endless. And hopefully, I mean, this one is kind of just getting started. I don't know if it's actually been permitted. Has permits been approved? Did they apply for permits? I mean, there is a lot to the process. And hopefully there will be enough public outcry to make them think. But I mean, the battles never end. We sit here, we talk about fishing and the issues that face it. The industrial water quality issues, without a doubt, are the #1 threat to the quality of our bays. Hey man, look at Corpus Christi Ship Channel. They dredged that thing to 100 feet deep, 180 feet wide. As soon as it was finished being dredged, they applied for permits to make it deeper and wider. And I watched every day what the water quality turned into. Every day the tankers go by and they roll wakes all of the way to Ransom Island from the ship channel. I mean, they crash. They're 3-foot rollers that go all the way across the bay. I've watched the seagrass deteriorate. Ransom and Dagger Flats, two of the most beautiful flats, amazing crystal clear water 20 years ago, are going to be dead in my lifetime. I mean, you can plainly look at Dagger Flats. Dagger is the closest to Ingleside down at the end, and it is almost a sand flat now of what used to be the lushest, because it's deeper. So even on the lowest tide, it never went dry. The grass always was covered with water. Beautiful, amazing turtle grass. And it's just about gone now. And that stuff, the one thing that is proven is that it doesn't grow back. It is a very slow process. Whenever it is gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so how the salinity, I mean, how is that going to affect the ecosystem in Baffin Bay? And here's the other question. What's really in that water that's discharging? How many gallons a day are they really going to pump into that bay? So, and they're willing to absorb the fines. They break the rules all the time, and then they just pay the fine because the money they're making outweighs the fine by multitudes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's repeated, and they're putting a discharge into Copano Bay from the Gregory area.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, so they're scheduled to break ground in August. Seven Seas will be breaking ground at Brown and building a plant in Driscoll this August 2025, and is set to discharge 1.5 million gallons per day into Petronia Creek and Alazan starting in 2027. This is the actual plant they're wanting, blah, blah, blah. So there is a meeting tonight, Tuesday, July 8th, 5:30 p.m. at the Annex Law Center in Kingsville. And I just clicked on one of these stupid ass games on this Facebook. And then there's the city council meeting July 15th at 1201 Leopard Street in Corpus Christi at 5:30. July 15th at 5:30 in Corpus. But like Dean said, at the end of the day, this is all about making money. The cheapest thing, and I'm paraphrasing Chad Pederick here. The cheapest thing is to just go dump it into Baffin and say, "Oh, don't worry, guys, we're rescuing the sea turtles. They don't like being so salty."
Yeah.
And instead of pumping it back in the ground, it costs a hell of a lot more money. And I'm not a earth
or offshore, into the ground or offshore.
Yeah,
not to mention the fact that bay has existed for thousands and thousands of years before we decided to start pumping shit into it. Yeah. And now, we're gonna save it.
Yeah,
by pumping some shit that never. It's ludicrous, the excuses and stories that they come up with to justify what they're going to do.
We're from the government, and we're here to help.
Yeah.
I
here to save the bay.
I was there last week, and I was thinking to myself, some bitch, what we could use? About 1.5 million gallons of fresh water, because up there in Matagorda, we didn't quite get enough, and that's not why I'm down here right now. A rainstorm sucks, and they want to do it daily. But like Dean said, this is money greasing money. And I see comments on here. It's not Chad's post, but just it's all over my Facebook because of who all I'm friends with. And where's the CCA at? The CCA can resist shit, but they can't fight, like Dean said, billion-dollar companies, particularly with politicians. They got hands in their pockets that are backing these companies. Somebody on that board fishes. Somebody on that board's fished Baffin Bay before, and somebody knows that they're full of shit.
Yeah, no. But the other thing is, Dean talked about the attorneys, and you mentioned it as well, Caleb. But the public outcry has helped in the Aransas area, Dean. It has helped. It did stem it off a little bit.
It not really. I mean, the things that are taking place were always planned. It hasn't changed the motivation and the outcome of what we're going to end up with.
You think it just delayed it?
And I'm not even so when they wanted to put it in at Harbor Island, I forget what the actual it wasn't resistance. It was, I don't remember what the reason was, but for them to change their plans and move it to the inner harbor in the port of Corpus Christi, which of course that's even a shorter pipeline. So I'm sure that saves them a lot of money. But any body of water that is connected to Corpus Christi Bay is connected to the Laguna Madre. It is connected to Redfish Bay, Aransas Bay. I mean, you can see every one of those things from there. I mean, they are less than 10 miles in any direction. And to suck up hundreds of millions of gallons of water per day, discharged what's left over in a concentrated brine, it's going to affect the ecosystem. And what comes out, and we may have talked about this in the past. So what comes out is the brine. It's the same. So the salt, from the people that I've talked to, the salt that they're putting back into the bay is not a problem because that was already there. So they're just taking something out and put it out. The detrimental part is the water that goes in to the intake is full of larvae and every little tiny sea creature, from plankton to everything that swims, and it comes out sterile. Nothing swims in one end and swims out the other end. It is gone. So the biggest issue is the amount of creatures that go in and don't come out the other side.
Yeah.
The salt that comes out was salt that was already in the bay. It comes out in a concentrated form. And from what I understand, it disperses, and that is not the worst part of it. But what the intake takes in is the worst part of it.
And that's what ultimately sends fish away, kills fish, doesn't have
it kills them, and they don't ever get a chance to grow up and replenish the stocks.
And Baffin Bay, Caleb, you were just there, kind of landlocked, there's nowhere else for it to go.
No, it's just, I mean, you're not even getting tides in and out of jetties or anything. It's Baffin Bay is a great big ass saltwater pond that's got an inlet and outlet on each end of it. It's it's rather defenseless, to be honest. And so I don't understand. I've said it before. It's been years since I've had to say this on the show, but it's our job as men to just screw things up. Like that's what we do. We tear up everything. I mean, one of the ideas on here, and he says a long shot, but Lake Corpus Christi's got 20% full right now.
Yeah,
make it a big ass saltwater lake and then release it in the new ACEs as it's needed, or as you need to, or like pumping the ground or whatever. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert on a desal plant and all that, but don't blow sunshine up my ass trying to tell me that you're here to save Baffin Bay by doing this. This has nothing to do with Baffin Bay. Baffin Bay doesn't need saving. Maybe the people in Corpus need some water to drink. Hey, you know what? Dean's going to die of thirst in the next 6 months if we don't do this, and it sucks, but we have to dump some into Baffin Bay. I can accept that. I can accept it. Like, okay, all right, well, with tough times, damn it. But don't sit there and, we're here to save it and help it. And just, no.
So here's one more fun fact when it comes to water usage in Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi has refineries. It has chemical plants. The chemical plants and all of that uses 70% of the water. 30% of the water goes to residents and to the people. I've had this conversation, and that came from the San Patricio County Water Commissioner, came to one of our Rotary meetings and did the presentation. He showed how much water comes from the Mary Rhodes pipeline, how much comes from Choke Canyon, how much comes from Lake Corpus Christi, and so on and so forth. Then he showed how much everybody used. At that point, we're on level 3 water restrictions. The people in that, you can't water your yard, you can't wash your car, and there's something else that's involved with that. So when I asked him, okay, the people who use a smaller fraction of the water than the industry are forced to abide by these rules. I said, what does industry do to conserve water? I said, what restrictions are put on industry? There was a lady in the crowd that worked at one of those companies, and she turned around me. She was completely offended. What are we going to do? Stop industry? I mean, she was offended. And I'm like, apparently you need to. So with this desal plant that is going to disrupt the ecosystem is going to feed the industry. It is not going to give Dean and Caleb and John a fresh glass of water to drink. It is not the driving force of why that it is being built. It is so they can continue to build chemical plants, and not refineries, but what's growing in Gregory and Portland are chemical plants where they create plastics, or they create the chemicals that create plastic. That is what is going on. And the reason that is happening in Corpus Christi is because they have these vast, giant cotton fields and cornfields that are owned by one giant corporate farm. So when it comes time to build a plant like that, they go to one person and they can buy giant mega swath of land in one land deal. There's other deals where people are holding out for their land, they're holding out, they're fighting, they make these giant mega plots difficult to purchase. So South Texas has energy. We have natural gas that flows out of the ground. We have transportation, which is water and rail, and we have available space. That combination is what is causing this to grow, causing the need for more water, creating a desalination plant.
See, I can get on board. I can get on board with the industry, though. It provides jobs to a bunch of people. It drives the economy.
Hold up.
But we're circling right back to blowing sunshine up our ass.
peeing on your head and they tell you it's raining.
That's exactly
Look,
it.
So here's another thing about the jobs and such. That is kind of those numbers get twisted when they construct them, when the thing is being built. Yes, they do have a ton of workers, but when they're in operation for perpetuity, there are minimal staff at those places. It is nothing like, but they will tell you, they will throw that number of how many jobs.
All these jobs, yeah.
No, I'm not talking. You're talking about
construction is temporary.
But you're talking about a desal plant.
No, well, when it comes to building like Exxon, they built the Exxon plant in Gregory. Whenever that was built, of course, there's an army of construction workers in there, iron workers, electricians, all this. And they will tell you, well, when we created 10,000 jobs, well, it takes them 2 to 3 years to build it. In 2 to 3 years, all of those jobs are gone. Then they have people in there, gaugers, monitors, scientists and such, which is a very small number compared to that number that they throw at you in the beginning that makes everybody say, whoa, whoa, everybody's going to have these jobs.
And
but those jobs, the perpetuity is the people that work there. The construction is very temporary.
I guess you have a point there in that, you know, if we don't have the water to support the facility, go build a facility in Beeville or something. Like, quit stacking them up right here and needing more and more here. So I got if that's the point you're making, I'll ride with that one for sure.
But it's connected to the port, where they can bring ships. It's the transportation factor that goes along with energy, space, and transportation.
Well, they go build one by Noel's house in Port O'Connor. There ain't one there yet. They got all kinds of water.
Yeah, that'll go over well. He'll have his skid steer out.
Look, up the road from there in Port Lavaca, they have the Famosa Superfine site, which there's a line across that bridge, and above that, you should never eat any fish out of that water. There are warnings that say, do not eat a fish that comes from this bay. And if that's not a lesson learned,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Maybe 7C should go rescue that bay.
Exactly. They should. Hey, that's a good place to put the water.
It's kind of a thorn in our side that they're doing it to Baffin too. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing is, you know, Port Lavaca is the warning sign. You know, for a number of different reasons. That's the thing that people need to watch. But the other thing, like, basically, if a lot of people go out there and you know, complain and protest and everything, we're saying they can't lawyer up and do it. But I think anytime you have one of those events, several of those events where people are voicing their concerns, etc., it does make other corporate lawyers want to join the fray. And a lot of times those corporate lawyers will fight them that way.
We need Texas Hammer.
We need the Texas Hammer. You know, while we're talking about water here, I did want to, and I'm just going to plead ignorance because I fished in Port O'Connor. I know that San Antonio Bay, the Guadalupe runs into San Antonio Bay. I'm curious from your guys' perspective. Dean, you might know more about this or Caleb, either one, than I do. What about all this water that's coming out? Is it just all going to go to Canyon Lake, or is there going to be some severe runoff and sediment and such from this event? It's a regular stop for me, and it should be for you too. Anglers Anonymous in Katy. It's a candy store for fishermen that's going to make your head spin and help make you a better fisherman. You got to see the expanded store too, and you got to chat it up with Mike and Chris Butler, all the guys at Anglers Anonymous. They'll answer your questions honestly, and they'll get you what you need. Reels, rods, lures, they have it all, and apparel that's off the chart. And of course, the calling card service. Real repair, they turn it around for you quickly, and you will be happy. That's Anglers Anonymous in Katy or anglersanonymous.tx.com.
There was enough rain below Canyon Lake that it came up for a couple of hours and then went back to normal. There were dry creeks that over a course of like 3 hours got like 6 foot of water in them, but it went back down pretty quick. I'm not completely aware of the dam structure, you know, from you know, like Green South, but Canyon Lake was dang dry. So I would think as long as that dam holds, which if it's holding now, it should be good to go. I would think that all it would do is put some water back into Canyon Lake,
which it desperately needed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there's been a lot of time-lapse videos like of all the other things that have shown the rise in Canyon. And Canyon's going to catch most of that. That is where there's not going to be, unless there are mandatory releases that can be a part of that, where they have to let water, but it's very controlled. That won't be. I don't see how the water is going to get high enough above canyon to cause flooding downstream.
Well,
And
I
what
told
did
you
rain,
guys, I was 65 miles away, and I barely even noticed a little bit
I
of
mean, it
running
was
water.
concentrated. I mean, they showed the radar. It just unfortunately dumped right on that spot. I mean, it was the absolute worst case scenario of where it rained, how long it rained, and the time that it rained. 2 to 5 in the morning at the 4th of July. It could not have been a worst case scenario for all that.
The only thing that would have been worse if that rain would have happened below Canyon Lake. I mean, it sucks. I'm not taking away Hunt. Hunt has dear places in my heart. They had a weekly rodeo there. We go there all summer, go there, and all them girls camps would come to the dance. They'd have a big dance after the rodeo. And whenever I was a high school kid, I got to meet all of those camp girls, and it was quite pleasant. But it would have been way shittier. It would have been way yeah. Mom and dad didn't know about summer camp. It would have been way shittier if it had been below Canyon Lake, though, and that thing hit River Road like it hit up there. Not that it's not crap up there, but there's exponentially more people in the crosshairs south of that dam.
Yeah, no question about it. Question here from a listener watching us live on YouTube, which of course you can do every week, and we post this by about 6 o'clock for the podcast listeners. But this is worth mentioning here. I know you answered them directly, Caleb, but it is from a listener, Clinton, about conservation. Does keeping only male trout and redfish hurt the fishery? He's been keeping the ones that are making that drumming sound.
Yeah, I was explaining to him in the comments that much like most of us learn after marriage, that males aren't nearly as necessary for reproduction as we think we are.
Yeah, unless you go to summer camp.
Yeah. Well, there was no reproduction that I know of. But you got your spawners, and then X number of males to fertilize the little things. So, and I've taken the male, and the males seem to be a bit more numerous, I guess you'd say, or maybe they seem more.
They are.
Oh, they are. It's an X. I say might just seem more numerous because those little suckers are out there eating like crazy, and the mama ain't. But
all the redfish all drum, all redfish vocalize.
Yeah, you shouldn't keep any redfish ever, Clinton.
The thing about redfish, though, redfish that are in the slot up to 30 inches, their sex is not determined yet. It is quite an interesting twist of nature that whenever redfish move offshore to become spawning age, then their sex is determined by nature as to if they need more females or more males.
Don't make California jokes. Don't make California jokes. Don't make California jokes.
Some people have to wait till high school.
I've become aware lately that this podcast is quite widespread. And I feel like might have listeners in California.
It is a weird twist of nature, but yes, those are they are asexual until they reach.
That is a fact. That is absolutely a fact.
Tell us where you find them so we can conserve them even harder.
Only male speckled trout vocalize.
Hey, Gabriel and Ryan will attest that the redfish that I know where they're at are not in danger of being harvested. We found the most beautiful school of probably, I'd say 50 to 70 redfish in like 2 or 3 different little groups, but man, they were tailing the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And it was way back somewhere where very few people go. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be on. And I put my power poles down probably about 70 yards from them. When my power poles touched the water, they're like, kiss my ass, we out. Just rolled. They went from tailing and being as happy as they could ever be until 2 3/4-inch PVC, fiberglass pieces of pole touched the water.
Yeah, they're gone.
Hey, look, Jay Schultz says tell him where he can find them so he can conserve them even harder.
Parkoff said that,
hey, I didn't get to say what I did this week.
Let's go. We got time. We can go a little long.
I didn't do much.
Okay, thank you. That was very little long.
No,
That's the most non-selfish making it about yourself that I've ever heard.
And on that note,
it's been a good week in Aransas. Well, we had the 4th of July weekend that I did miss out on. I stayed home and barbecued and did the family thing for a couple days, but Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday has been some beautiful redfish, schools of reds. John, man, I don't know how you miss it so much. When you were gone, the reds are schooling. I mean, I had a school yesterday that just changed the color of the water to orange. And then today, here's another. Let me go. Here's a good story for you guys.
all right.
So today, even though this is kind of like Caleb's version of it, I saw big schools of redfish, 2 or 3 today. The third one may not have been, but it was as I was going from spot to spot. I'm running, boom, and big herd of buffalo running across the flats. Pull up this morning. So what I was doing today, I was shooting some video with the Wired to Fish. It's from what I understand, it's a streaming fishing show network kind of thing. They're really big in the bass world, and I got connected with them. They were doing a paddling version show. So through some friends in Missouri, I got connected with them. He came down, wanted to do some kayaking, shoot a video. And unfortunately, my motor blew up in the middle.
And you got video of that.
My filter blew
Oil
up in the middle.
going everywhere.
But this morning, the curse of the first fish on the first cast.
Oh,
we pull up this morning. I'm running across the flats. Boom, right at daylight. Big herd of redfish. Boom, spooking. I swing around, pole down, throw 2 kayaks in the water, paddling, got the camera over my shoulder. Zing, bam, blow up. Video, got the hook set, the whole deal. Boom. I'm like, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I should have thrown this damn thing in the bushes on the first cast. It would have done anything. Got that? Did not catch another damn fish.
Really?
One more rat red for the rest of the day. Put
And
them
you saw all
kayaks
those
in the
herds?
boat. I went to 4 spots. As good as it has been all this week, I'll go out with the utmost confidence of like, we're fixing to get it on, son. I said, not only am I going, I said, we're going kayak style, stealth mode. And first cast, beautiful red, and moved to 4 spots, fished pretty hardcore, and caught 1 rat red for the rest of the damn day.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
With the camera over my shoulder every damn minute of the day, sitting there staring at me.
Well, that's going to happen.
The moral of the story is, no matter how many redfish in front of you, if it's your first cast, throw the damn thing in the bushes, snap it off. Who cares?
My entire boat backlashes on the first cast when there's so cool in front of us. I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this.
It's been great.
It's that weekday fishing like Ben's talking about. And I was talking about, I went the last 2 Mondays and it was fantastic. But so we got a Bite Me Love story today in. We got the Baffin Bay discussion in, which I was glad that you brought that up, Caleb. Obviously, redfish males are not males until they get offshore, and all kinds of other stuff. Here's the thing about what would Caleb do and what would Dean do. Full moon tomorrow or tonight? I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's coming up.
So we have a full moon and 1 tide, 1 long, slow tide.
Saturday. Friday is full moon.
Yeah, and only one. You know, the bell curve on it is just like 1 big giant slow tide. Not exactly the best conditions there, Caleb. What would you do?
If it's going out the whole day, I'm pretty happy with it. If it's coming in the whole day, Clint Bargey's pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
The fish,
it's coming in and it's standing all day.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
And the water temperature is 89 degrees.
It's 89 now.
Can we talk about that desal plant some more?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
I mean, jetty fishing to be It should be kind of consistent. The full moon with the tide coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But so here's what's interesting about all that conversation. Rules are meant to be broken. It just the way fishing works. And in spite of all of those things, except for today, which the curse is different, doesn't apply.
Cameras are a whole different thing.
Yeah, oh yeah. A whole different category.
I'm gonna have an upset stomach just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Very depressing day. But in spite of all of those things, I mean, I've been fishing in crazy hot water, and the bite has been going off at like 11:30, and noon has been some of the best fish.
Remember I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. 11:30, it just turned back on.
11 to 2.
Yeah.
So slack ass tide, the middle of the day, but I mean, we still have been away from the full moon. I mean, that is that was 7 days before the full moon. So I can't blame the moon on that. But less than stellar conditions and managing to do one thing that's been interesting is those speckled trout that we were tearing up 2 weeks ago. They gone, man.
Really?
I still pass through there at least once every day, just waiting for their triumphant return. And I don't know if it's me. I got the stank on my lure, but I mean, we've hit the drop-offs all around the outside of the islands, and they just ain't there, man. I don't know. Or they're just not hitting what I'm throwing.
Yeah.
They're not liking me particularly.
How could they not like you?
But it's been an interesting week. The way red fishing has been quite good, and the speckled trout, which is normally very consistent this time of year, is kind of flippy floppy.
Yep.
Well, all right. Go ahead, Caleb. You got something?
No, I mean, hell, my report just changed to go to Aransas Pass and fish between 11 and 2.
Yeah, exactly.
The fish I've been on have been super duper spooky. We're able to find a handful here and there, but they've been spooky. I think that the full moon's going to help. I went to some really reliable fish last week with Gabriel and Ryan, and they just weren't wanting to play ball in that half moon. So I'm thinking the full moon's going to get them stirred up and get them going again.
Maybe. All right, boys. That was fantastic, and I'm glad you brought that to the table. Both of you guys. Go ahead.
I told you I was going to hijack that topic. My bad.
No, I'm glad. That's terrific. It was great stuff. But appreciate it, you guys, because we do need to get out of here now, so we don't go too long overboard here. But hopefully you guys subscribe to the podcast, join the group page. Don't forget to hit those links for RSVP and raffle tickets, etc. Hotels on there as well. And I'll be coming down, full moon or no. I'll be coming down again this week, Dean. So we'll
I'm going to be unsupervised this weekend. Carrie's out of town.
All right. Well, we're gonna wreck them. We're gonna wreck them for sure. All right, guys. You guys, hope you enjoy it. We're gonna wreck something. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you guys next week. Don't forget to do all those things I mentioned as far as the podcast and joining it and subscribing and all that. You guys catch them up. We'll talk to you next time.
I don't know if I want him to marry that girl worse or if us to be the ones that get to do the marrying.